Coming up right now, 28 amusement park thrill seekers get an experience well beyond the price of admission.
Also coming up, a trip for passengers on board a British Airways flight. It takes a bizarre turn why their destination was a trip to nowhere.
A little bit later, the very special gift former President Trump gave YouTube star and to fighter Logan Paul. We'll show you more about that.
Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
I'm Mitch English. We're welcoming you to Daily Flash and so glad to have you here on this 2 for Tuesday. Oh, Maddie's hanging out there as well. Matt, how you been, buddy?
Good, man. You know, the wife's got me on a vegan diet, and I don't hate it, which I thought I would not be in on, but I can't really tell the difference on some of the stuff she's been ordering.
Like what?
The burgers and stuff like that. Some of the chicken, like the sauces and everything. She's getting a little more vegan.
So what is it?
Yeah,
it's soy, I guess, based. I don't know. It's some type of vegan plant. I don't ask. I just eat it.
See, you know, and God bless you for sure. I did the vegetarian thing for 1 year, and I found it very, very difficult. But they also say for your blood type, you should check out before you do stuff like that.
Oh, I'm not going all in. I'm still getting my wings, but you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring that up, but a friend of mine was a vegetarian for years, and she ended up reading that blood type diet book, and she got her blood type tested and realized she should be eating meat and other things. She changed her diet completely changed her.
And you know, I know there's vegetarians out there, nothing against it,
no.
and you're welcome to do that. A lot of time it's because you need iron, and you don't get that when you're in a vegetarian diet, so you got to take supplements and that sort of thing. And I know we'll get a barrage of emails just saying vegan's a hard way to live. That's
just
for sure.
one avenue to consider.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
Just say that it's not an end all be all, but for some people it works. Netflix is getting a couple NFL games this year on Christmas Day.
Okay, this
now,
is so crazy.
Isn't this interesting? So they're already selling ad spots for the Netflix Christmas Day football games. $5 million for a 30-second spot.
Wow, they're expecting that high of a turnout.
Huge. And they're two big games. Chiefs, I believe, are one of them. I think the Steelers or Raiders are in another one. Anyway, but $5 million for a 30-second ad. Now, for perspective, when it comes to the Super Bowl, you're looking at $5 to $7 million for a 30-second ad. That's for the Super Bowl. This is for Netflix.
That is just incredible. I wonder if they're going to be embedded. First off, the words ad and Netflix should never be in the same sentence.
I agree too. When I heard this, I'm like, I can't even comprehend ads on Netflix.
So will those ads stay since it's like a recorded show, more or less? Because I imagine you can go back and watch it afterwards if those ads are staying there, if that's placed into
They'll probably
the amount.
slice them out with stuff for new Netflix shows or something like that in the future if it's something that they archive. But
oh, you mean so if you watch it, go back and watch it again?
They'll promote something else.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Why are they asking that kind of money? And it seems like for Christmas Day, especially. I mean, I don't really think about television too much at Thanksgiving.
The last few years, the NFL has done football games on Christmas Day. It's unusual, but they've done it, and actually the numbers have been better than basketball games for the NFL. So I think there's some sort of track record there that suggests, look, you could probably reel in this kind of money for Netflix.
I think it's because a lot of bars are closed on Christmas, so they know people are going to have to watch them at home, and it's a more focused audience. Because the problem with sports TV right now is they all know that it's just up in the bar and no one's paying attention. With this, it's going to be focused people on Netflix.
You're dialed in your living room. But I have a problem with now the NFL is splintering off into NBC Peacock, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and then these games that they're playing overseas you'll only be able to watch them if you have X, Y, and Z service. So I just kind of wonder at what point. It's so fractured. It's becoming so fractured.
To be able to find it, and even if you get, I know at least for Major League Sunday Ticket, my father-in-law has the MLB. He's a big Braves fan, and he's blacked out. And I go, well, just watch it on the MLB thing. He goes, no, won't let us watch it there either because it's blacked out. That's unfortunate to see that. But it's interesting to see. I know Prime had some great numbers with their Thursday Night Football.
And YouTube now has the Sunday Ticket package, so you've got to go to YouTube if you want to buy that. You need a flow chart to keep track of all this stuff.
And then you're paying for it, but then you're also paying then you're going to have to see ads as well. We'd love to know your thoughts on that. Go to our website, dailyflashshow.com. You can click on Sound Off. Tell us what you think. Hey, let's head now about this. More than 24 people experience a crazy ride after a coaster in Oregon left them hanging literally upside down. 28 passengers on the Atmosphere. It's at a Portland theme park. The ride suddenly stops. They were stuck for nearly a half hour like that, folks. The ride operators, they called 911, started their emergency procedures, and according to a Facebook post shared by the Portland Fire Department, the rescue teams were trained for this exact scenario. They trained for this. Park says the attraction is now closed until further notice. I would hope so. And how do you leave somebody like that for that long? It seems like your blood would rush to your head for a while.
30 minutes.
That's a long time. Scary, too, the whole time.
Nope. That's why I don't do the carny rides.
Well,
I do them at theme parks. I don't do carny rides.
They set those things up. And
even though this was a theme park, the place is like still not up to Disney Universal standards, where they test it 10 times before the park opens. Nope, I don't even do those at the outskirts ones.
But don't you remember as a kid when the carnival came to town, you didn't think twice about it? Like that zipper ride?
I did, because my dad was a carny and told me how bad they were made.
Okay, so
we did win all the games, though.
That's, by the way, in Matt's book. It's called My Dad Was a Carny.
Oh, no, I got a better title for that one if we're doing that.
All right.
I don't want to hear it.
We'll move on. Passengers on board a flight flew for hours across the Atlantic Ocean, only for the plane to turn around at the halfway point. The mishap occurred while the British Airways flight was traveling from London to Houston. The trip's total flying time should have been 10 hours and 20 minutes. The plane was halfway to its destination with 300 passengers when it experienced a technical issue as it approached the Canadian coastline. Flight crews said the jet had a problem with the engine. By the time it returned to London, it had flown nearly 5,000 miles across the Atlantic twice. Unclear why the aircraft had to fly all the way back to London for repairs.
Just for that, I mean, I'm certain it's because of protocol. There's probably some kind of reason that they go, all right, doesn't matter, whatever is going on, we need you back here. Could be as simple as, well, the part we need is back. Yes. We left it back.
We left it back there.
Back in London. Who knows?
The battery we need for the engine to run.
The last place you want to be is over a body of
European
water.
Plug. And
it's a whole plug. It's an electric airplane, and they need the converter. Yes. And I'm assuming this will come out eventually what exactly happened, but I would be happy to say, hey, look, it seems like they could finish the flight out. They had made it back, but that wasn't the case. They knew what's best, and I don't know anything about aviation. All I know is was it a Boeing airplane? That would be the first question I'd ask.
Yes.
I mean, we can't even get this thing fixed up in this International Space Station. Do you hear about all the problems that Boeing?
That's not going to end well.
So that's. I know we're going off on a tangent here,
but I guess the question is, like, would you feel safer to land over the ocean or take your chances over land? I mean, that was the first thing that I thought of.
If basic could have been I think it would be on the land to be better for me. But it seems like they're somewhere between there and there. It had to be an island or a country that has
an airstrip.
An airstrip to be able to land on. All right. Former President Trump met influencer Logan Paul recently, and during their meeting, Trump gave him a T-shirt with his mugshot on it. Take a look.
Is this your mugshot?
Yeah, can you believe it?
You're a gangster.
This is what we're reduced to.
No way.
President Trump joked that, hey, it sells. Jake Paul laughed while posing with the T-shirt, and his Prime right behind him as well, too. Got to make sure you promote that.
Prime.
Here's something I got to tell you. Would you have thought, like, when influencers started coming out and more people coming out, like, just how influential they are. Now this guy could be fighting Mike Tyson and meeting Trump as well.
So tell me how Jake Paul got his start. He was just on YouTube,
Vine.
right?
He was one of those early Vine kids coming out of college. He was actually a collegiate, really good wrestler, but he started doing all these Vines, and his brother started doing them, Jake.
But they weren't sports related stuff, were they? They were just,
it was just goofy,
goofy
stuff,
stunts and things,
and then they just built the network. Yeah, he's just smart enough to build the network. Plus, his parents are very wealthy, and they were able to. He was kind of had a job, and he started a compound in LA where he brought all the influencers together, and that's how his kind of ramp up kept going.
Doesn't that sound fun? A compound of influencers,
Wouldn't it?
It's like a nightmare.
And not having to have a real job, it does pay off sometimes when you have a nice safety net like that. I was not aware.
I mean, he's done really well in the WWE.
I'll give him that
He's
way.
got the Prime drink. He lives in Puerto Rico now. Like he's really built it up, and he just takes shots at these. He's even said he's willing to go interview Biden if they'll have him interviewed. Like he's willing to just whatever his face can get on, he'll do.
Of course, he's an influencer.
Yeah.
He'll do
whatever to get clicks.
Go swim in worms. All right, he'll do it. People will watch it, right? I mean, it's everything that we try to do.
Will he go on Fear Factor?
He would do it.
Oh yeah, if it's.
I don't even think that show is on anymore.
No.
I don't think it would be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? He's got a following. People watch him. That's what they do, and we just talked about it. So mission accomplished there. We have more Flash, trending news, and entertainment coming up right around the corner. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Time to get flashed. We dish out some hot topics that we will sound off on. We want you to join us in the conversation with your thoughts on our social media. You guys ready?
We are ready. We have 15 seconds each, right?
Yeah,
to kind of
about
say our
15 seconds to
part, and then
respond.
we
Yep.
kind of all talk after.
Okay, first up, here's our first topic. A viewer asks if she should get flashed or not for changing the name of her daughter after a request from her sister-in-law.
Okay.
She says, my husband and I came up with a name for our daughter and told the family. Now, for months, no one said anything. Weeks after giving birth, my sister-in-law came to me and asked if we would change her name from Ember to something else. Turns out it was the name of her stillborn daughter. The viewer said no, she would not change it.
Yeah.
Was she wrong for not respecting her sister-in-law's request? Mitch, I'll start
All right,
with you.
first off, listen, a name is a name. It goes with you for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
by all means. And a parent, that's one of the hardest decisions they have to make, is what they're going to call you. By all means, no, she should not have had to change it at all, even if, this is what they worked on. And the whole time she'll be thinking about that, as morbid as that sounds, and I'm sorry, as mean as it sounds, there's no way you can go around it. When that child is who that you've thought of to give that name, it has to be something that you'd be able to keep.
Maddie.
That is a hard no for me. Like my wife and I have already kind of picked out kids' names. If we get there, our first two, a boy or a girl, and we're not changing it no matter what anybody in the family says. Like my family's got some weird names, and none of us said anything, so we went with it. Plus, I mean, come on, the last name's Doolittle. The kid's gonna be stuck with that anyway. So the first name's gonna be fine, and then they're stuck with that one. So no, you're not changing it. I'm sorry.
Is Dewey Doolittle an option?
No,
not an option at
So
all.
your thoughts? I mean, if you think about it, is it disrespecting the parents' decision?
I think if she hadn't said anything, if she hadn't sent out the card and said, hey, this is our plan, this is how we plan to name the child, then maybe at that point this person should have spoken up about it.
That's a good point, yeah.
I can understand it, and then it's kind of a family thing. It's like, why did you name your child this? It's sort of a stigma now, but I don't know why no one said anything to begin with.
In the first place. Maybe like a middle name, too.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, a viewer asks if she should get flashed or not for not allowing her fiance's best friend to come to their wedding. Now, there's a twist to this story, okay? So hold on to your seats. She says, I'm not inviting my fiance's best friend to our wedding because she pretends that I don't exist. To make matters worse, he's done nothing to address the situation. My fiance said he did not want to end his friendship with her or do anything to jeopardize it because he wonders what would happen if we broke up.
Okay.
This made me wonder if he would protect me as his wife since he wasn't making me a priority as his girlfriend / fiance. So who's in the right here?
All right. Can I go first?
Yeah.
All right. First, okay. So my understanding. So his best friend is a girl.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then 100%. I mean, it sounds like they just had a study out a while back that most women have a backup plan.
Yeah.
They have somebody in their mind if they get divorced. Sounds like that's what this person is. If unfortunately, you have to walk away, and if they're as close as they are, that person would understand. Hey, look, my new wife doesn't want you at the wedding.
Yeah.
So if you're a good enough friend as you are, which obviously it's going to be stressed out in the first place, then don't oblige to it at all. Wow.
Matt?
I think you got to compromise. There were a few people on both sides of our lists when we did them where I'm like, does that one really have to come from her side? And on my side, she's like, does that one have to come? I don't know. Mitch might get a little sideways because does he need to come? Does this one? But I mean, we kind of both looked at it. It was like no ex-boyfriends or girlfriends, even if we are friends with them still, because I'm friends with a couple of my ex-girlfriends.
Sure.
And so it was kind of that like, okay, let's adhere to that type of thing. So I think you come to a common agreement.
Yeah,
really.
and I think too, like, if you're marrying this person, she has to be your priority.
No,
not your best friend. Like, I get it. You've got to. Then if she's really your best friend, then maybe you're marrying the wrong person.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because you're supposed to be marrying your best friend in the first place. Right,
yeah, I just keep thinking of My Best Friend's Wedding with Julia Roberts. Last one here. A viewer asks if he should get flashed for purposely leaving his brother in the cold at family events. My brother is upset about being left out of family events and the siblings group chat. He also is being ignored at work, and some of his colleagues don't invite him out to events outside of work hours. I told him that he is essentially excluding himself and that his behavior is the reason why he's left off the invite list. Should he get flashed or bring his brother back into the fold? Mitch?
All right. Well, I know I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and if we don't do this group chat or whatever. But if we did, it seems like you should do whatever you can, even if you know the answer is going to be no. You should still extend that out, because it could be a one time. He might be going through something. Is he has the invitation there, that it's always there. If you forget one time, you're going to forget every time, and then eventually, they say you didn't even want me there in the first place.
Yes.
So I think he should continue to invite him to come in. And matter of fact, that brother should be in, even if you don't comment. At least you know what's going on in your family, and not leaving out in the cold, and not going in, just at least saying, well, I can't make it because of, at least work a decent excuse into it.
What if he's the kind of guy that doesn't comment with a couple of lines, but with paragraphs in text?
Okay, well, then that's a different story. No, you got to let him say it.
Okay,
I mean, if you put him on that list, you know that's probably what you're going to get out of the deal. So, yeah, I can imagine that
Matt,
would be
group
a big
chat,
problem.
no group chat.
Well, I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I think you've got to be careful with, maybe he's got a background that they don't like inviting to stuff. Maybe he's too much of a drinker or something at some of these events, and they're like, hey, maybe we keep Tommy out of this one soiree we're having, because he gets a little screwy, but he's going to see it on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a family dynamic you got to be careful with there, because there's some people that we don't invite to some of our group stuff just because we're like, that one gets a little sideways. But if we're having a all-on party, then we will invite them.
But it does say something about his personality if he's also sort of being excluded at work events and with coworkers. So there's something going on there. But does excluding him make matters worse?
I think it would, but it will reassure whatever he's going through is real. And and if you're family, you're able to tell people generally how you feel about them, and maybe that's what. Hey, look, we want to invite you, but every time it seems like there's some kind of issue. What's going on?
Every time you show up and you strip down.
Why I don't get invited to much.
If you want to sound off on these stories, all you have to do is head to our socials and tell us what you think. Head to our website. There's a sound off button right there, dailyflashshow.com.
We got more. We're doing Car Smarts right around the corner. Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. In today's Car Smarts, Lauren Fix, the car coach, lets us know how your private information from your car can actually be handed right over to law enforcement.
Automakers are giving up your data to the police. What happened to privacy? At least 8 car makers in the United States have admitted they would backtrack on a voluntary privacy agreement and turn over your personal customer data to the government and to the police, prompting calls for an investigation. Automotive News reports 19 car makers had voluntarily signed up for the Consumer Privacy Protection Principles in 2014, standards which would require the U.S. government and agencies, including the police, to obtain a warrant or court order to access customer location data. However, 8 automakers misled customers about giving driver data to the police, and now U.S. automakers are raising questions about whether automakers can be held to account for departing from promises made about user privacy. So who is giving your information to others? Toyota, Nissan, Subaru, Volkswagen, BMW, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, and Kia would turn over your data if a subpoena were produced, in violation of the standards they signed up for. These car companies are following the agreement they signed. General Motors, Honda, Ford, Stellantis, and Tesla require a warrant for location data unless it was an emergency or customer consent was provided. Tesla was also the only brand to notify its customers of legal demands. Actually, all manufacturers should inform you if they're giving up your information and your data. This has not only raised concerns about what other privacy promises car makers have made that they won't be keeping, but it has also led to 2 U.S. senators calling for companies to be investigated by the Federal Trade Commission. And quote, automakers have not only kept consumers in the dark regarding their actual practices, but multiple companies misled consumers over a decade by failing to honor the industry's own voluntary privacy principles, said Senator Ron Wyden and Senators Ed Markey in a letter to the FTC. Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and Kia all defended their practices, while the Alliance of Automobile Innovation, a lobbying group for the car industry, claimed the government agencies only request location information when there is clear danger to an individual. And quote, vehicle location information is also provided to law enforcement under specific and limited circumstances, such as when an automaker is providing a warrant or a court order, or in situations where there is imminent threat or serious bodily harm or death to an individual, an AAI spokesperson told Automotive News. In March, the New York Times published an in-depth investigation about a Chevrolet Bolt owner who had been quoted a significantly higher insurance renewal premium, later discovering that his data was being sold to insurance firms by a data broker called LexisNexis. This was followed by a second report detailing a proposed class action lawsuit put forward by a Cadillac XT6 owner who claimed he was denied insurance by 7 companies on account of his LexisNexis driving report provided to the firms without his knowledge. Both of the vehicles were equipped with OnStar and GM's Connected Services brand, which is gathering information used by LexisNexis. In the wake of the reports, General Motors subsequently ended its partnership with both LexisNexis and Verisk, a similar company which also sold driving data to insurance companies. According to the New York Times, an internal document circulating within General Motors showed more than 8 million vehicles were actively supplying data through OnStar's Smart Driver program as of 2022. The problem is, you sign away your ownership when you use their systems, and keep an eye out for those opt-out options and support the government bills that protect your privacy.
Hey, we are deep into grilling season and everyone is looking to up their grilling game. Here to share their favorite tips and tricks for mastering the art of outdoor cooking are New York Times bestselling cookbook author and chef Gabby Dalkin and Tillamook dairy expert Stephen Halstone. Welcome, Gabby and Stephen.
Hi,
Hello.
So excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
So Gabby, you just released a new book all about grilling. Can you give us some of your top tips?
Yes, I sure did. This is 2 months old, and when you boil down grilling to its simplest form, it is heat plus time plus food, and we're using really incredible ingredients. And I don't like to overcomplicate anything. You just need some great tools, and you can think about using your grill just like you would your oven. Once you really dial in that formula, you can cook pretty much everything in here, and we're about to tell you all these incredible recipes. So
yeah, one of my favorite from your book is your spicy Diavolo Sopressata pizza. It uses crushed green olives, spicy sopressata, and it's topped with full-flavored, creamy, melty Tillamook whole milk mozzarella shreds. It's one of my favorite recipes in there.
It's a really incredible recipe, and you can do pizza on your grill, no problem. Another quintessential recipe we must have is a smashed butter burger. We are quite literally grating Tillamook extra creamy butter into the meat mixture, forming it into a patty, and throwing it on the grill or the griddle. Plus, we're topping it with Tillamook's famous extra sharp farm-style cheddar slices. So just those 2 things alone are absolute perfection. Top it with whatever you want. And then another thing which is sometimes shocking to people is you can actually bake on your grill. If you shut the top of your grill or a smoker, it acts just like the oven. So this is my Snickerdoodle Pizookie with vanilla bean Tillamook ice cream on top. It is the creamiest way to end a meal.
And you can find all of these recipes and where to find our products at tillamook.com, or on social media you can follow us. And Gabby's latest cookbook is available anywhere where books are sold.
Hey guys, thanks for that, and we'll make sure we have this on our website at dailyflashshow.com.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. Mitch English here.
Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment.
I don't know if you heard about this story. This tow truck operator in Texas. That's hard to say. Tow truck operator in Texas. Okay. They were called out. Somebody was doing their morning walk, and they walked by a church, and they saw this 2000 Porsche Boxster sitting in this parking lot of Jehovah's Witnesses parking lot and everything. And they walked by, and they happened to look at it, and it had this blanket, and on the top of the blanket you could see hair coming out of it, and they were looking at it, and you could see some feet at the bottom of it. They didn't know what to do. They called the police. Police came and they go, well, it's on private property. I'm not sure what we can do, but it looks like so they had to get a warrant altogether.
Oh my God.
So all this stuff started happening, and they went in, got the warrant, able to open up the Porsche Boxster that had been sitting there apparently for several days. So they open the door thinking the absolute worst. They grab the blanket with the hair and everything, pull it out. It was one of those real doll sex dolls.
No.
And the only thing, the first thing I thought was like, this thing was out there for several days, and why did anybody inside the church see it? And I'm not making fun of Jehovah's Witnesses, but they don't have windows on their church, so nobody saw.
Oh my goodness!
And left this gorgeous Porsche with a gorgeous sex doll inside.
Wow.
They towed it all off, but they were, thank goodness it was nobody.
No. What happened?
That's the question. The story behind
That's a Netflix docu-series. I want to know.
How do you leave? First off, a Porsche. I mean, it's a 2000. Sure, it's 25 years old, but still.
It's a classic now.
And knowing, exactly. And knowing you have a sex doll in there, did you just forget? Where did I leave that thing at?
Where did I leave my Porsche and my sex doll? Darn.
And she had to have a cool name like Porsche. Or something like that, right?
Yeah. Or it was a scorned wife that got upset at the husband, and she just drove the car to the parking lot. I like that idea. And then with the sex doll wrapped up in the blanket to say, I found you out.
This is why we have Jackson on the show here. You have a mind. That is so far away from what I would have thought.
That could be an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife
and
kind of
how
move.
can I embarrass this person the most? And then first off, wrap it up so people would be suspicious. And then second, put Jehovah's Witnesses parking lot. I love it. Okay, that's the story.
Wait, what if they knocked up to the window? Hi, we'd like to talk to you about. Wait a minute.
Here's a pamphlet.
Here's a pamphlet.
Right.
More than 24 people experienced quite a ride after a coaster in Oregon left them hanging upside down. 28 passengers were on the atmosphere.
It's a play on word.
At a Portland theme park when the ride suddenly stopped. They were stuck for nearly a half hour. The ride operators called 911 and started their emergency procedures. According to a Facebook post shared by the Portland Fire Department, their rescue teams trained for this exact kind of scenario involving this particular ride. The park says the attraction is closed until further notice.
Wow, that's scary. You can imagine that first off, but this is a place that it's a permanent fixture.
Yeah.
And something happened. Why is it always, it's always at the very top?
Yeah.
It's not like,
it can't be like close to the ground.
Yeah. And then what's the conversation you have while you're up there?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You dating anybody?
How's it going? What if we don't get off this thing?
Is this what it's like in Australia?
I hope they made everybody take the stuff out of their pockets. Because if they're just sitting there or somebody gets their phone out, it just goes flying down.
That's a good point.
Oh, and I'm certain somebody had to have gone live.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know it.
For sure.
Universal, because their stuff goes upside down, you can't have anything in your pockets at all anymore.
But people find a way to.
They've got metal detectors, though.
Yeah. That's Universal. This is Portland.
This is true.
Oregon.
Portland, things a little bit different. Portland, by the way, is a town that capitalized on being weird too.
Yes,
so they
it is Portland, Oregon, right?
Yes.
I think it is. Yeah.
They could pay money to get people to do that then.
What ride would I got stuck on? And this is no lie with my boys on It's a Small World.
Yep, did it. And been there.
They have not. We talk about the shutdowns at Disney. This ride, you hear about it breaking down all the time, or it stops.
Yeah.
And eventually, people were getting up and walking off, and
they couldn't take it
sons
anymore.
were like, I'm like, they let us in and everything. I'm like, I'm not going to get kicked out of this place. Yeah. They go, come on, Dad, can't we leave? I want to go. They're leaving. Can't we just leave? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They'll get it going, and it was a good half hour, 45 minutes sitting out of here. And they never turned that music off.
Never.
Nope.
Never at all. And no lights on.
That would be enough to drive me out of there in a hot second.
Go crazy, right?
Yes.
Go crazy. I'd rather hang upside down. Tell you what, we will do our best not to drive you crazy. And no, it's a small world at all.
Big tech is a given. It's part of our everyday lives, and we cannot imagine life without it. For better or worse, big tech is integrated into our lives with both obvious outcomes and unintended consequences. In his recent released book, The Venture Alchemist, Rob Laka takes readers inside big tech's worst exploitations and abuses alongside many good intentions and moral compromises. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what role did big tech play in the January 6th attacks?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And so you have the Stop the Steal groups that are spreading online, right? And Mark Zuckerberg makes the decision to basically shut them down. And so That decision came outside of policy. That was not something that they had a clear policy on why that needed to happen. And it was the fastest growing group in Facebook's history at that point, which is to say it's the fastest growing movement in human history because we've never been connected like this before. And so it grew to be larger than 3/4 of American capital cities in less than 48 hours. And of course, they shut it down. And so it's really interesting when you think about what people are allowed to say or not allowed to say on these platforms.
So how did venture capitalists fuel J.D. Vance's rise to power? And obviously now he's the vice presidential candidate after he changed his name and his political stances.
You got it. So less than a dozen years ago, J.D. changed his name from J.D. Hamill to J.D. Vance. So, it's an interesting move before he becomes famous. We'd have to think about what a Trump Hamill ticket would work like as opposed to Trump Vance. But yeah, it's interesting because Peter Thiel, who was chairing governance of Facebook for that entire time that I was just describing, was also the big donor behind Trump in 2016 with $1.25 million. But he actually gave $17.5 million to J.D. Vance's U.S. Senate campaign. And so in Silicon Valley, that's called exponential growth. And I find it interesting that you see how much more these folks are getting involved, especially because Thiel's former business partner, of course, Elon Musk, is now saying he's going to give $45 million a month to support the Trump-Vance ticket.
And should we continue to trust big tech, believing the apps on our phones are free when our data, the most valuable resource that we have of the 21st century?
Yeah, you got it. I mean, so you've heard the phrase, if you're not paying for the product, you probably are the product, right? Because they're making money somehow. Mm-hmm. I go a little bit further in my new book by saying, actually, it's also about the data. It's about the content and the data that we're creating. And I think we're fooling ourselves if we think that that stuff's not valuable, And so if that were actually valued and we were actually sharing the value of that data and that content in a real way, I think it'd be a much different economic situation for most Americans.
Great. And where can we go for more info on the book?
Yeah, anywhere online. It's gotten great reviews. It was the top new book on venture capital on Amazon and top in business ethics as well. So it's a book that's meant to be very easy to read, good stories. I tried to tell them like my grandmother would have told them growing up in Alabama.
Very good. And thanks for joining us. And we'll be sure to post this on our website at dailyflashshow.com. With today's rapidly unpredictable weather, it's important to know how to read the air quality index and protect yourself when air quality is poor. Dr. Nikki Vars McCulloch, respiratory health specialist at 3M's Personal Safety Division, has more.
Extreme heat, wildfires, and intense weather have become more common. Dr. Nikki Vars McCulloch, respiratory health specialist at 3M's Personal Safety Division, has more.
Wildfires, drought, and other conditions can result in poor air quality, such as high levels of particles in the air. The first step in helping to protect yourself from exposure to poor air is to understand the air quality index, monitored by the Environmental Protection Agency.
When air quality is poor, you should take measures to reduce particles in your home or that you breathe.
If you are in immediate danger, follow the authorities' instructions. Otherwise, it's often best to stay indoors. Close all doors and windows, and if you have an HVAC system, use a high-efficiency filter, such as a Filtrete MERV 13 air filter. If you must go outside, a 3M N95 respirator is one option to help reduce exposure to airborne particulate pollution.
For more, visit cdc.gov or 3m.com/wildfire safety.
Whether you're looking for a late summer island escape or already planning ahead for a fall Caribbean, destinations can offer a lot of value this time of year. Travel expert Janine Tornatore is here to share some of what you'll want to add to the top of your list. Welcome, Janine.
Great to be here.
So let's start with some of the advantages of traveling to the Caribbean right now.
Yeah, well, this is the shoulder season here, and there are some really compelling advantages, namely fewer crowds, really attractive pricing, and some great promotions this time of year. Just to give you an example, Marriott Bonvoy members can earn up to an extra 10,000 bonus points just by coming here between now and September 9th at participating hotels in the Caribbean. So some really great ways to save not just on your hotel rate, but also get those extra bonus points as well.
Okay, let's talk about your first picks for Caribbean destinations, St. Martin, all that. Can you tell us about those places?
Yeah, I want to start in St. Martin. This is such a beautiful island destination. Let's start with the JW Marriott St. Martin Beach Resort. This sits on beautiful Dawn Beach. It's a really serene island getaway. You have their Opal Lobby Lounge where the mixologists make you some of their great craft cocktails. You can indulge in treatments in their hibiscus spa. And they have a really great swim up bar, plus lots of things like chef-led culinary and mixology workshops. So I really love this property. It's a fantastic option. And then I would also suggest Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico. No passport required for U.S. citizens. Easy flights, especially from East Coast airports. And there's a lot of diversity, not just in the landscapes, but in the properties here as well. A couple I want to highlight quickly. The Sheraton Puerto Rico Resort and Casino. This is one of the top urban resorts in the heart of San Juan. They have 503 rooms, 22 suites, a rooftop infinity pool, fantastic views, a great spa here. Love this property. And if you want to go a little bit more luxury, one of Puerto Rico's most exclusive luxury properties is called Dorado Beach. It is a Ritz-Carlton reserve. It's a sanctuary set on 50 acres of what used to be the Rockefeller estate. And what's really special about this property is it's luxury residences. So if you're traveling with a group, with a family, you want to stay in these residences because you get all these residential amenities. You get a private concierge, get your own private plunge pool. You get all these great private outdoor spaces. So it can make it extra special. Not to mention, this property is all about connecting you with the local culture through its food, its dining experiences, its spa, and even its bespoke excursions.
Sounds great, Janine. Where can we go for more info?
Well, these are all Marriott properties, so check out MarriottBonvoy.com for these and for more great Caribbean inspiration.
Fantastic. We'll have all that on our website at dailyflashshow.com. Thanks, Janine. Dr. Ali Rod, medical doctor and OBGYN, is here to guide us on how to find accessible and affordable reproductive health resources, covering what, why, and where.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ali, an OBGYN who is passionate about women's health and women's health education. Today, I want to talk to you about options for your reproductive health. I know a lot of women are feeling anxious and worried about their choices regarding reproductive health, which is why I think it's so important that women have access to contraception, but also access to education around contraception so that they're able to make their own informed decisions. Now, when we start talking about contraception, there are a lot of options available. So I kind of like to start with the basics. So things like condoms that we're all familiar with. Condoms are available at grocery stores and pharmacies, and they work great. And they also have the added benefit of helping prevent from sexually transmitted infections, which is so important. Next, we have things like emergency contraception, and Cadence OTC just launched their morning after pill, which is FDA approved and uses the #1 doctor recommended ingredient, levonorgestrel 1.5 milligrams. Now, keep in mind that the morning after pill does not affect future fertility, and it works by preventing pregnancy. Now, it is time sensitive, so you want to make sure and take it within 72 hours of unprotected sex, but the sooner you take it, the better it works. Now, other options for birth control are going to be things that you can get from your local healthcare provider. Things like birth control pills, IUDs, implants, the Depo-Provera injection. These are all great options for birth control, but it does require you to get a prescription from a medical provider. Now, one thing I love about Cadence OTC is that they are working so hard to make the morning after pill readily available, affordable, and accessible to all. The morning after pill is available at local convenience stores, places such as Circle K and 7-Eleven. And one of the greatest things, it's affordable at just under $25.
Well, the reigning Miss Michigan USA doesn't just wear a pageant sash. She also proudly wears her Army uniform. Second Lieutenant Alma Cooper, Miss Michigan USA 2024, is an active duty Army officer who is also pursuing an advanced degree at Stanford University as a Knight Hennessy Scholar. This summer, she hopes to add the title of Miss USA to her many achievements. Here's more.
One of the ways I ended up on this path is the primary theme of service throughout my family. My father served in the Army for 24 years and graduated from officer candidate school. And my mother Grew up as a migrant worker in this country in the beet fields of Idaho from the age of 6, and then went on to earn a Division I track scholarship and is now working for the state of Michigan within vulnerable communities and marginalized populations, continuing to uplift the voices of those who often go unheard. And I think that dedication to service really propelled me to be drawn towards the academy, drawn towards West Point, and dedicating myself to something bigger than myself as an individual, but then also having and finding ways to contribute and make a global impact in something I'm passionate about, which is service. Visit goarmy.com for more information on varying career paths, benefits, and ways that you can propel your own career in the Army.
Well, in the quest for a great snack, pistachios are always a top pick, trust me. With more is registered dietitian Carissa Galloway. Welcome, Carissa.
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting me talk about pistachios.
Absolutely, I love them.
So what I like about them, what we should all like about them, is they are a good source of fiber and protein, and a great protein-dense option for things like snack. You can make a smoothie, top oatmeal, or put it on salad like I want you to do there.
There we go.
Also, 49 pistachios, which is what I have here, one serving, 160 calories, so great for a snack. And pistachios are one of few foods that are high in antioxidants, but are also a complete protein. So that helps with healthy aging, those antioxidants. And there was a study from Cornell University, very fancy, it found that the levels of antioxidant capacity in pistachios rival the levels of things like red wine, blueberries, and pomegranates. So lots of antioxidants, lots of reason to pick the pistachio.
Good and healthy for you. So where can we go for more info?
Yeah, you're gonna wanna go to americanpistachios.org.
Great, we'll have this on our website for you to check out at dailyflashshow.com. Thanks, Carissa.
This is Tim. Tim is all about time, and if you've ever had a chance to look into Tim's cold, dead eyes, you'll see that it's time for you to follow us on social media. Sure, there's 10,000 social sites out there, and we don't have the time to name them all. Seriously, just ask Tim. So take the time to look for Daily Flash TV on your favorite social sites and start following us. That's all the time, Tim. Goodbye.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. A woman and a robot attempt to solve a mystery. This is today's must-watch series, Sunny.
So, why Japan?
Food, culture. It sounded perfect.
I'm afraid we have bad news.
My family was in a plane crash. Things have been, weird. Can I help you?
I have a gift.
Hajimemashite, Suzy-san. I'm Sunny. Bring it in.
Okay.
Robots can be of great comfort.
I don't want a robot. I hate robots.
Sunny was created by your husband.
I'm confused. Masa works in refrigerators.
You are also laugh riot.
What are you hiding from me? How much does Masa talk to you about what he does at Ematech?
Maybe I could help figure this out.
Did you really know my husband?
I don't know. My first memory is meeting you.
I heard about this, guide that helps you break into home bots.
Suzy-san, they want something from you.
私はあの人の仕事を尊敬してたから。
Sunny, right? Does it seem normal? Sunny? Are you okay?
Don't you see, Suzy? I was programmed for you.
I'm gonna find out what happened to my family.
I know about trying to fight pain and mess. But do we have to do it alone?
Ooh, that looks good.
It did. It hooked me in, and then of course Rashida Jones there play that. So it looks like a little bit of humor in it, but it looks fun.
Yeah, well, that does it for us today.
It sure does. Thanks, y'all, for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Head to our website, dailyflashshow.com.
Bye-bye.